ceased.
They have a connection with the friends.
Oh, very nice. And Dr. Abdul Kalam, he was with St. Joseph. No.
Because he talked about IT.
Students kindly be seated. Benjamin Franklin, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. To achieve your goal, it is imperative to possess knowledge tinged with dream. Dream your future and work with pride and cheer in welcoming our reputed guest of honor, Sri Anil Agarwal, the Executive Chairman of Vedanta Resources PLC, Mr. Piranam Parasan, the President Group HR. May I also extend a warm welcome to our Principal, Father John Pragasan, and our Industrial Relationship Officer, Mr. John Baptist. There is a soul in sympathy with sounds, as the mind is pitched, the ear is peace. With melting air or martial, brisk or grave, some call in unison with what we hear, is touched within us and the heart replies. Let's now rise up and invoke the grace and the blessings of the Almighty. Over now, the prayer song. Kindly be seated. We will now have a short film played by the Veda.
When he first came to Bombay for his family business, he hadn't seen anything like it before.
I was immediately inspired and dream stayed with me and I really strived for it. I've never forgotten my roots. I grew up in Bihar, in Patna, in backward area called Guriatoli. I went to local Miller High School, a municipal school. That's the only formal education I had. Our family business was a cable business, also a scrap business. We used to collect scrap from the cable company and always thought that we should establish our own cable company. In this process, I could acquire a cable company in Bombay. I realized that that was not that profitable. Biggest thing was copper and aluminum, which was their raw material. It was very difficult to set up this business in the private sector because of licensing, financing, and so on. But we could make our headway and could set up the first copper smelter in private sector in Tuticorin.
India is growing like never before. More engineering, more construction, more economic growth than ever imagined. And with it, a huge demand for metals. Aluminium, zinc, copper, silver and iron ore, key commodities in a flourishing economy, the source of the Vedanta Group's unprecedented growth as a private sector company. With operations in India, Zambia, Namibia, Liberia, South Africa, Ireland and Australia, Vedanta is one of the fastest growing mining and metals groups in the world.
Establishing these businesses, the biggest constraint was capital. In India, the capital was not available. Even the proper valuation was not available. I started looking around the world. Where can I go? I realized that London is the market where most of the metal and mining companies are listed.
Vedanta became the first Indian group to be listed on the London Stock Exchange. In record time, the Vedanta Group established itself among the top 3 best performing stocks on the FTSE 100. In the summer of 2007, Vedanta again broke new ground. Sterlite, the group's flagship Indian subsidiary, became the first ever Indian industrials company to list on the New York Stock Exchange.
Balco, the first privatization out of India, big move.
Sterlite's successful bid for the government-owned Bharat Aluminium Company, Balco, was India's first privatization. You
must realize what is Balco today. What we did, we definitely cut the cost. We want the efficiency. But we increased the production. We made the plant 4 times bigger. Today, we are the largest producer of aluminum in India.
Another sterling example of Vedanta's expertise in turning a company around is Hindustan Zinc. From an underperforming government unit, it has been comprehensively transformed into the largest integrated producer of zinc in the world. It is also India's largest producer of silver.
First thing I have always said to our people, before we start knowing our production result, we would like to know what you are doing for the people in terms of their education, in terms of their health, in terms of their livelihood. These things are very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about it, and I would like to know them before I get into the business.
A driving passion for uplifting the deprived has blossomed into community service on a massive scale on the ground, enabling Vedanta to reach 2.7 million people in 550 villages in India and other parts of the world.
Childcare program is very close to my heart. I've been told 30 to 40% of the children in this country don't get enough food, enough medicine and the education, a child is supposed to weigh 4 kilo, weigh 2 kilo. It breaks my heart. At this point of time, we are aiming to do up to 1 million children through the Balwadis with a joint program with the government. And we would like to take it forward as a major program for the Vedanta.
Caring for communities vitally includes caring for the environment. Vedanta is in the forefront of the green energy movement. Environmental responsibility has been a core concern for over 50 years at Sesa Goa, India's largest iron ore company. At a time when forests are making way for mining, Sesa Goa has reversed the process, turning a mine into a horticultural park.
We have a similar geology what Canada, North America, Latin America, Australia, South Africa has. Still we produce only 20% of our natural resources what they produce. We need to develop all these resources in the most sustainable manner to create more employment and prosperity in our country.
Since it has the potential of replacing wood in many uses, aluminium is known as a green metal. In one of the most backward regions of Orissa, Vedanta has invested $12 billion to set up a 2 million ton integrated aluminium plant and a 4,000 megawatt thermal power plant. With a production capacity of 10,000 megawatts across India, Vedanta is one of the largest investors in the Indian power sector.
Orissa has a tremendous potential for development. What we did in this area, we have created home for them. We have given them school, we have given them technical institute, Balwadis, we have created roads for them, we have created bridges for them. I think this is the phenomenal satisfaction I had.
Seeds are being sown of another great venture.
When I used to visit USA and go to Harvard, Yale, Columbia, I used to think, why can't we have this scale of university in India? On that note, our family has pledged $1 billion to create Vedanta University. Ultimately, it will cost $3 billion. Latest chapter in Vedanta is acquiring cane. Cane produces 25% of India's oil production.
Ken's Mangala field in Rajasthan constitutes the largest onshore oil discovery in India in more than 20 years.
Our vision is to work towards increasing energy security of India, to find more oil and gas in India and outside, and also to produce 50% of our production of oil and gas in India.
From one simple yet far-sighted vision, the Vedanta Group has grown from strength to strength into one of India's leading companies. With far-flung roots and ever-expanding branches, Vedanta, like the banyan tree, will continue to spread its canopy far and wide. providing knowledge and inspiration to those with vision, spawning an ecosystem of entrepreneurs, and creating partnerships in prosperity.
The power of human thought grows exponentially with the number of minds that share the thought. The more we know, the greater our ability to learn and the faster we expand our knowledge base. To facilitate this, we have with us a highly eminent person, Shri Anil Agarwal, the Executive Chairman of Vedanta Resources PLC. We are indeed fortunate and privileged to have one such legend amidst us. May I now request our guest of the day, Shri Anil Agarwal, Chairman of Vedanta Resources PLC, Mr. Tarun Jain, the Director of Finance, Mr. A. Tirunavukarasu, President Group HR, Mr. P. Ramnath, CEO Sterlite Copper, our Principal, Dean Father, and Mr. John Baptist to take their honorable seats on the dais. Sir, please. We also request Mr. Tarun Jain, the Director of Finance, Mr. Tirunavukarasu, the President HR, and Mr. P. Ramnath, the CEO of Sterlite Copper, to occupy the chairs on the dais. May I now request Ms. Sania, the Student President, to welcome the gathering.
The only true happiness is to learn, to advance, and to improve. Albert Pike. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's placement training. I am honored to acknowledge the presence of the Chairman of Vedanta Group of Companies, Mr. Anil Agarwal, and the President, Mr. Tirunavukarasu. We are truly honored to have your presence, sirs. I deem it a privilege to welcome the Dean of Studies, Reverend Dr. John Pragasam, SJ, the Principal, Dr. Joe Swaminathan, our Industrial Relations Officer, Engineer John Baptist, and our Placement Coordinator, Ms. Esther Jayachandran. I'd also like to take this opportunity to welcome our HODs, our faculty, the other dignitaries, and of course, the allied group of students before me to today's session. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, Ms. Sania. It's now time to honor our esteemed guests of the day. I kindly request our Principal, Dr. Jose, to present a memento to our chief guest. Thank you, sir. I also request our Dean Father to present a bouquet as a token of our appreciation and gratitude. May I now request Mr. Ajoy of Third Year Mechanical to introduce our chief guest.
It is my privilege to stand before you to introduce a person who has revolutionized the Indian business for the past 3 decades. This person is connected to 35 board members in 9 different organizations across 11 different industries. Shri Anil Agarwal is the founder, chairman of Vedanta Resources PLC, which is a globally diversified natural resources group with operations in India, Australia, Zambia, Namibia, Ireland, South Africa, Liberia, and Sri Lanka. Under his dynamic leadership, the group has grown into a world-class integrated producer of copper, aluminum, zinc, lead, silver, iron ore, oil and gas, and power, with a talent pool of over 30,000 employees and revenues of 14 billion US dollars. The group has raised over 16 billion in equity and debt from overseas market and has brought the money for investment in India. The group has spent about 20 billion US dollars in India on organic growth of its business in the last 6 years. With an eye on long-term value creation, with a focus on sustainability, the group, under his leadership, has delivered significant growth in the financial year 2011-2012. Cain India, which is India's fourth largest oil and gas company, was acquired in December 2011. Work is now underway to simplify the group structure and is on schedule to be completed by the financial year 2013. Mr. Agarwal has been a pioneer in taking Indian business to foreign shores and led the listing of Vedanta Resources PLC on the London Stock Exchange in 2003. Vedanta was the only Indian group that obtained a primary listing on the London Stock Exchange and was also heralded as the second largest listing on the London Stock Exchange in 2003. And in addition, the third largest IPO of all time in the metals and mining industry. Vedanta's subsidiary Sterlite Industries India Limited is also listed on the New York Stock Exchange. At the time of its conclusion, this was the largest initial public offering in the US by an Indian company. They say leadership is lifting a person's vision to raise the bar. Under the stewardship of Sri Agarwal, the group today has acquired key strengths like a strong competitive position as a result of the group's market shares in the growing Indian copper, aluminum and zinc markets. The management's ability to turn around and optimize underperforming businesses, improve manpower productivity and deliver operational efficiencies, implement capital programs on time and within budget. In 1992, Mr. Agarwal initiated the Sterlite Foundation, the philanthropic arm of Sterlite Industries India Limited. The foundation has since been named Vedanta Foundation, which was created with the deep-seated belief that companies have a responsibility to contribute sustainability to the welfare of the community that has allowed them to grow and prosper. Community programs, which are run in partnership with the various government agencies and NGOs and supported by a strong team of CSR professionals, have reached out to over 3.1 million people. The focus areas are health and nutrition, education, women empowerment, water and sanitation, and sustainable livelihood. Mr. Agarwal is a gentle, soft-spoken and family-oriented person who is downright humble and always maintains a dignified, low profile. Born in 1954, he enjoys music, spiritualism, and cycling. He's also listed in the Forbes magazine and is currently the 15th richest Indian. An inspirational leader and one of the most prolific entrepreneurs India has ever produced. It is an honor to have you amongst us, sir. Okay, let's hear it from the man himself, unlocking India's potential, Mr. Anil Agarwal.
I traveled whole night. I took a flight last afternoon, 2 o'clock from London, and looking forward and arrived this morning, 5 o'clock, went to Bangalore, came here, but every moment was that the pleasure and the feeling of that I'm going to be with you. So thank you very much. Principal Dr. Jose Swaminathan, Dean, Rev. Dr. John Prakasam, SJ, Industry Relationship Officer, Mr. Jean Baptist Suchet, is honor and privilege to be with this institution, which has created amazing name for this institution and make proud our country, not only in our country, but all over the world. I hear the students from this college, every part of the world, and when I go and hear the Loyola, the name itself shines. So it's really honored to be here. Thank you very much. You know, this world, if you look at, I was thinking what theme I'm going to talk about. And I realized one of the article which I have written, that we are truly by and large on the track as America has grown. America is a democratic country. We are too. And if you look at in 1900 history, they had all the problem which we have in our country today. They had the corruption. It was impossible to develop the project. It was very difficult because politicians were not educated, and it was tremendous mafia which was ruling the US. And the five industrialists changed the country. I'm trying to remember. One was, of course, Harrison Ford, Wendell Witt, who created the complete railroad. Number three, if you can help me, J.P. Morgan, who has created the complete banking and this service sector. Rockefeller, who has developed the oil and gas to that country, and Carnegie Mellon, who has created the steel industry. And they have, if you go to History Channel and you realize how authenticated it is. So it's about the leadership. This is probably time for us. Time for us to look at, we in India, our base is industry. We have done tremendously well in the IT sector. We have done tremendously well, world-class pharmaceutical. We have done very well in telecommunication and maybe the banking and the service sector. But our fundamental is manufacturing. And it's very important for us, for you engineers, to come back and say that how important it is for us to bring back on the track is our manufacturing. When Nehruji came up, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, these people has always believed that where is our temple? And they used to say our temple is SAIL, a steel company, fertilizer company. That was the symbolic for our country. Today is the time for us to look back for our prosperity, because we are the country which is a complete resource-based country. We used to call ourselves as a golden bird. When the Mughal came, when the English ruled us, they have taken most of our wealth, and which was legitimate, whether it was a gold, whether it was a silver, whether it was a diamond, because we are full of resource. And resource is one which is in our coffer. And we have to be in most sustainable manner. We have to develop that resource for our development. If you look at the Australia, last 23 years, there is no drought there is no recession in Australia. They had 7 drought only because they have a tremendous natural resource, and they have developed that natural resource, and to make sure they develop their country. So India also today, when I look at, we have an economy of probably $1 trillion, and in $1 trillion we import $500 billion of import. Our 90% oil and gas, we are full of oil and gas. We import most of our gold. We have a capacity minimum, we have a same geology to produce steel, which is almost, we produce 100 ton of iron ore. We have a capability of producing 600 million ton of iron ore. We have a tremendous gold, our Kolar gold field, our Hatti gold mine, our Bharat gold mine. These gold mines are full of resource. It's required today's attention. And government is truly so looking at this avenue. How do we look forward to make sure, because today, unless we have the manufacturing, addressing the manufacturing, there are three sides of it. One is the basic industry. Without basic industry, today the import has gone up to the limit whereby we import even our apple. I was looking at the data and I see most of the apple, we have the best fertile land. Today the 60-70% of the apple and the fruits come from the outside. We need to provide job. We need to bring the technology, and you people are here to understand how important it is. Even if you look at the defense equipment, most of the defense equipment is what? You are the engineer. It's just the engineering. How can we allow most of the defense equipment being imported? We need job for ourselves. We have to develop this defense equipment. Even if you look at the fertilizer, we have the rock phosphate. We have all the ingredients which we require in India. We need to change our policy. We have to make sure, and this government is doing it also. It is very important for us to look at the manufacturing. Once the fundamental resource, and number two, I look at the processing. It's very important to process our product. And number three, of course, is small industry. And industry. That's what brings the smile. That's how the world has grown. Anything above the ground is very important for us to feed, but does not give any revenue. Probably the government has to subsidize even for the fertilizer. Anything under the ground is, most of the money goes to the government. Whatever oil and gas being produced, 85% goes to the government. Anything you produce under the ground, 50% goes to the government. And from that money, they can build India, they can build the infrastructure. It's most sustainable manner. Today, all over the world, these things has been done 50 years back when the technology was not there. Today, you people have who is more knowledgeable than you people to understand this, that today the environment, you have all the technology available to make sure we do everything sustainable. We make sure everything is right. So this is, I talk about, I have been asked that how I have grown and what I have done, and I'm going to touch that. And I'm going to allow, normally we don't, as many as question, as much as you can ask me question, grill me, I'm here to answer everything, and anywhere I can help you, it'll be a pleasure. Don't be, as you have seen, I never believed that one can't achieve what he wants to achieve. And I remember, I thought I'll give you a few stories of what happened, when we were taking over Bharat Aluminium Corporation, the first privatization out of India. About in 88, total revenue of our company was $1 million. Today has gone to $17 billion. It has a market cap of $30 billion. When I was acquiring the Bharat Aluminium Company, we had no money. And such a big acquisition, it was costing at that time about 11 years back, 550 crore. That was the bid. We were sweating where the money will come from. We have put in a bid, and with our core team, we sit down, and I says, look, it is such a high profile business. It's all about the marketing. Have the tremendous confidence. And we wrote beautiful letter to all the bank. India's best privatization of the Navratna is going to be privatized. And we have bought at 550 crore. Whoever bank is interested, it is a tender. Whoever bank is interested, please let us know their interest, and whoever come first will take their money first. We had tremendous courage to write this. Trust me, that work. Every bank came forward, they didn't ask what it is, and we had to our disposal almost 1,200 crore rupees. And we could buy that company at 550 crores. And today that company is one of the largest company producing aluminum. I thought I'll share you something else. You know, in Africa, in Zambia, one of the largest copper deposit is Kankola Copper Mine, owned by Anglo American. Anglo American is third largest metal resource company. They have somehow that's gone down. The government was under pressure because 11,000 people working for that company, and they thought they should get some new owner who can run this company proper. I saw this advertisement and we thought we are going to bid for it. And to replacement value can be 4, 5, 6, $10 billion. But I hired the McKinsey, we talked to them, and they said, this is not for you, it's too big. We said, no, it's all in the mind, big and small. You have to go for it as long as the governance is there. And we have quoted for that company. The maximum we could afford was $25 million. We said we'll quote $400 million. And $400 million, we said $375 million. We need to modernize the plant. We need to bring the new equipment. And $25 million, we put the cash. And made a very good document for the entire project. We submitted, we forget about it, we never thought it will come through. And we got a call that the Zambian government is looking forward to have you in Lusaka. I had an assistant with me, and he was an engineer, MBA from Canada, so I took him with me. We went to Johannesburg. Johannesburg, we changed the flight. We went to Lusaka. Lusaka, I could see that the government cars are there with the light, and a lot of people have come to receive me. I thought the matter is very serious. So I says, what is happening? This is, you have to go to President House. The entire cabinet is there. The entire bank and the officers are there waiting for you to sign this historic deal. And they asked me, where is your delegation? And I said, what delegation? He says, the President House expecting a big delegation from you. And I said, I need to talk to President. I could understand the seriousness of the situation to meet the President. And I had a quiet meeting with the President, and I said, His Excellency, we were 30 people in our delegation, but we missed the flight in Johannesburg. Just 2 of us could get this flight. Can you postpone this for tomorrow so everybody can join? And he says, no, it's impossible. I could feel that there is a position here. So he says, no, it has to be done. Can you handle it? I said, I can handle it. And meeting took place. I never seen the President House and the people, and the President came and sit by the side of me and explained how important it is and how I'm going to turn around. And that company today, we took over that company, is one of the largest company in Africa, largest deposit of copper. So these are the things which I thought I'm going to share. Sometime I share one of the things which I feel that I should not share with you, but I think this is the crowd I'm going to share. I was working for some people 20 years back, probably sort of a commission or salary in London, and I had this cable background. At that time there was no cell phone, there was no technology, was not there. And I was going from London to Manchester, and somebody told me, I overheard that in the train that there is a company, cable company is for sale in Heathrow, near the Heathrow airport, which has gone under receivership, under insolvency. I was so excited. I get down on the second station. I called somebody whom I know, Helen Ward, in London. I said, look, I'm coming back. I called her from the station. I'm coming back. Can you find out about this company? We have to go and look at it. So I gone back. We went to the receiver. This was a company near the Hounslow, nice cable company. The receiver himself was occupying the chair of managing director because they are running the company interim. He will refuse to see me. He says, who you are. And no matter how much I'm explaining him, I'm the serious one, I'm going to take over, please, he don't even give me, he's not refused to give me an interview. And I says, what to do? It was impossible even to talk to him. I came out and I thought of an idea. I called Bombay and one of my colleague, one of my friend, I says, can you find out all the annual report and the balance sheet wherever Agarwal is written? Can you collect all the balance sheet and send it to me? So in a couple of days, he sent it to me, all the balance sheet. I took 4 or 5 or 6 balance sheet, I remember, and give it to him. I said, this is my group companies. He looked at each balance sheet, put it in the side, he started talking to me. It's amazing how presence of mind worked. He started working with me, and I could acquire that company. So these are some of the incidents you come across. You come across. I remember I'm meeting. My life changed when I meet the Dalai Lama. I went to Dharamshala, whole day spent, and I could see every celebrities around. And what kind of man he is, 83, 84 years old, sitting on the ground, just laughing like a child. And I was looking personal interview, and I said, I'm going to take something from him. I'm going to take something from him. And what can I take from him? And I said, I'm going to ask question. And I says, you have to tell me a couple of things which I'm going to follow. And the first thing he said, I thought he'll tell me meditation or anything. He says the first thing was health. His first reply was, you take care of your health. It's very important. Number 2, he said about the family. Family, please take care of the family, not attachment of the family, just as a trustee. The moment you attach with the family, you do the wrong thing for them. But remain as a trustee. Number 3, whatever is your profession, do the best. If you are a sweeper, be a best sweeper. Because that's what the position has been given by the nature to you. And make sure that you do the best in it. I'm a monk. I'm going to be the best monk possible. So whatever profession you have been put in, and there is absolutely room to remain focused on your profession. And there is no question that you can't do better. And 4th thing he says, anything you keep more than what you need, you are a thief. And that's haunting me all the time. It's haunting me all the time. I cannot keep anything else what I need. So these are the impact you have in your life when you go through. I have talked about the India. India is an amazing place. Whereas even if you look at the Tamil Nadu is one of the most prosperous intellectual. I remember when I was in California, and we had some computer companies. A friend of mine, he wanted to get it fixed, and he wanted to call an engineer. And he called an engineer, and they were discussing on the phone, and he was looking some engineer. They were telling him, we have a Bob, we have a this man, that man. He was looking, and then he says finally, I have a Raghavan. He says, send the Raghavan. He says he'll be cheaper, he'll be better. So he was from Tamil Nadu. So I could see how much impact the Tamil Nadu has done to the world. It is very important for Tamil Nadu to go for the basic industry. We have to have a basic, we have done phenomenally well in all these sectors which I talked about. We have done well in the textile, anything and everything which Tamil Nadu can think, the people can think. But we have run the world has grown with the basic industry. Tamil Nadu need a huge steel mill. We need to have a steel business, 10 million tons. There's enough time where we import steel from other states on the world. One steel business will have thousands of business down the line. The basic industry, whether you talk about the metal, non-ferrous metal, we have set up the copper smelter. It's amazing, one of the world-class technology. Copper we've been using forever. And copper can't come out straight away from the ground. It has to be processed. And the way we process is the best. And that's how the whole economy works. So I'm a fan of Tamil Nadu. I'm a fan. I yet to find somebody who is not working in the world and who is not making impact wherever he is from Tamil Nadu. have a full of my book to talk to, but I thought the best thing would be to open for the question, and let's take the question. Whatever you have in mind, I'm here to answer. Is that be okay?
Good morning, sir.
I can't hear you. Either you come here or speak loudly a little bit.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
And my first question is, your formal education was up to 15 ages, right?
My formal education is I passed through 10. I'm very unfortunate, but that's what happened. You know, I should have gone to college like you. But yes.
But how then did you scale to such a great height to become a world-class businessman? What was your motivation to scale such a great height, sir?
Beautiful. You know, your determination. You know, I have learned through process, and I find that your focus, your determination, your vision, your dream, your dream has to come true. Whatever it is, and I have seen with the process, I have practiced more and more, and I realized two things which helped me a lot. One is never have arrogance, have head on the shoulder. And number two, I am always practicing to remain fearless. With these two, every day I'm doing better.
Good morning, sir. Sir?
Morning, yes. Just lift the hand, yeah.
Sir, it's our pleasure to have you here. Actually, you told that it's your pleasure, but it is our pleasure because you are the 395th richest man in the world and started as Vedanta Group's chairman. My question is, all the leaders or all the leaderships you talked about was a sloppy leadership in India. And what we can do to become a good leader or to hold a good leadership, to make India a prosperous nation or to make our organization a good thing. Like entrepreneurship, if we enter into entrepreneurship, we want to possess a good leadership. And what is, like your visit to Dharmasala and you went and met with Dalai Lama, tell us something that we could get it from you and we could implement so that our leadership is good and we can hold our country so high.
Very good. India is still absolutely right at the ground. We have to go in the sky. We are a democratic country, and the largest democracy of the world sometimes is threat to us. Sometimes threat to us. The widening of rich and poor is not acceptable. We are bringing the democracy only because that we part that. Everybody should have the opportunity to grow. Everybody has to fulfill his dream. In my way, I'm doing it because this is my passion to build the industry. This is my passion to create name for my country. This is my passion. Even if somebody tells me the mining is bad, I says no. What else can I do? That's our Mother Earth. So a leader is to lead. You have to lead. You have to take a chance. I've always said, you people are going to be the first class engineer for this college. The brand is tremendous. You'll be always be preferred anywhere. Now you have to make sure that you have a good person whom you work for. If you can work for a good boss, that's make you happy. Forget about the money. The boss is important. He has to be entrepreneur. You have to learn entrepreneurship. He has to. I given my freedom to my people. I said I only want two things from you. One is the safety. And number two is the governance. You have to follow the governance. After that, you have a free hand. What you'd like to do. So, in India, I've always also said, 70% money is very important. It should not happen that you pass 20 years and you have not have your equity. Be conscious about money. Goddess of wealth is very important in a right manner. 70% money is locked in this equity market. Please work with the company who has a stock option. Please start the business which has the better multiple. If you look at, you put up thousands of crore and the multiples, you people know the multiples are 2, 3, 4, 5. You start biscuit company, the multiple is 35. So you have no how the investor think, but for you have to be very conscious that your professionalism, what you want to do, what leadership you have, it come forward, what you have learned. Remaining, there is nothing else will make you happy than making your career better. Making your career better. And it's very important that you remain focused, but on the parallel, you must be paid for it. You must be paid for it, and that's very important that you look at. I've always said that out of 10 companies, 6 companies fail, or 5 companies fail. I have seen and I got a lot of report wherever I have talked to some of the youngster engineers, MBA, they put them together and go and look at what are the company has gone down. Some of the companies has gone down and they've gone and looked at that companies are available at 1/10 of the price. So they go to the equity investor, make a new proposal, new feasibility, go and acquire that company as a new way, and they become successful. So 1/10 of the price you can acquire the company. Also, some of the state has a very priority projects, a solar or agriculture or irrigation or anything, and some of the state give you 30% subsidy as the equity, 30%, 35%. Go and look at, go and talk to the state, go and talk to the government what they want to do. Go and talk to the large company what they want to accomplish. Whether they want some engineering help, they want to outsource the management, maintenance, they want to outsource some of the logistics. Logistics can be done with the engineering students amazingly. Some of the reports has come, the cost can come down almost 30% if you focus and do the re-engineering for the logistics. So these are the areas which you can develop.
Apart from your economical growth, becoming a richest person and all, you have contributed to the society, which is greatest thing. And the question is, you have been meeting more community people, different community people across the world. You have gone to Zambia, you have gone to Orissa. You have been passionate towards social entrepreneurship also. How are you able to manage the economical growth? You are a part of side, you are good in economy. A part of side, you are good in social entrepreneurship also. You are contributing to the society as well as you are contributing to the economical growth. How do you manage this? It is.
No, see, one thing is very clear in my head. I'm not going to work for money. Anything does not help the society, I'm not going to do it. Anything we do, it has to help the society. No, these headwinds will come as long as your governance is right, you are engineered, because these, who wants India to develop? They all want us to remain poor. I had from Middle East, I don't want to name, one of the royal family fellow came and met me in Udaipur, and he says, your roads are very bad. They are all producing country. And his crown prince came and met me in one of the marriage. And he says, your roads are so bad. I was coming, everyone was bombed. I break my back. You come to my country. See, my roads are made of gold. Why don't you repair your road? And I says, look, you produce oil at $3 and sell it at $115. We drain out all our money. How do you expect us to make our road? We have to. There is. So it's a world. They want. Where else they will find the population of 1.2 billion people, which they want everything. They just want to load. They want to ship. They want to send. Can you see? I've never seen a country. You people are engineer. You understand to see the balance sheet. Look at the balance sheet of India. We import 50%. All our hard-earned money goes. Everything which we import, you engineer can produce in India at 20% of the cost. So when that focus is coming, we get happy when the oil price goes down. We are happy when the gold price goes down. No, we have to produce our own need. And plus we have to have a surplus to supply to the world. Nobody knows better than you what is the environment. You look at the Korea, you look at the Japan, you look at the America, you look at the Australia, you look at anywhere and anywhere. And they have developed this industry, basic industry, core industry, 50 years back. Today we have a better technology, we have a better understanding, we have people, engineers like you, and we live in a democratic country. So we will have a better chance.